We've got the AV shifted over to the Board of Adjustment. Oh, and you thought you were getting rid of me at the end of the last meeting? No, you get me for one more meeting, and that's this Board of Adjustment meeting. So I'm the chair of the Board of Adjustment at this meeting, and this will, unless we have another meeting before August 1st, will be my last meeting. Thank you. Welcome to the Village of Pinehurst Board of Adjustment. I'm Tom Schroeder, and I'm the chairman of the Board of Adjustment. Today's date is Thursday, July 10th, 2025. Please be advised that this proceeding is being videoed and live streamed to the internet. We ask everyone involved to ensure that they turned on the microphone, and that first they come to a microphone and then make sure that it's on. And if you have a question on how to turn it on, ask the staff. They'll be glad to help you do that. Please use the microphone, as the recording may become part of the proceedings records. This is a quasi-judicial hearing, and we're required to consider only competent, material, and substantial evidence presented by an individual with standing in this hearing. We need to make two quick administrative motions. One will be to bring people forward from the planning and zoning, and the other one will be to appoint a couple of people in the Board of Adjustment. And I believe, Matt, you've got those ready?
I move to appoint Bruce and Bill as permanent seated members of the Board of Adjustments.
Do I hear a second?
Just you.
Me. I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Solved.
Okay. I would also like to make a motion to seat Devin as a temporary member for the Board of Adjustment meeting today.
Motion's made. Second?
Second.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Devin, you're in as a temporary for this time around. Okay? Now we have a full board of 5 people, so we're set to go with a quorum. First order of business is approving prior meeting minutes, and there are 2 sets of minutes. And
Can I just want to make one clarification on the June 5th minutes.
Okay.
If you see, I don't think it really requires formal action by the board. We did have to put together a document saying that
I was going to explain that, but
yeah,
yes, you're right.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that everyone did understand that.
Understand.
They're not minutes
No.
because there was no official meeting that took place because a quorum couldn't be
Correct.
established.
That's my understanding as well. Okay. So, first set, what's the date on the first set?
May 1st.
Is May 1st, 2025. Has everybody had time to review that document? Not hearing otherwise. Do I hear a motion to approve minutes of May 1st?
Motion to approve. Approve the minutes from May 1st.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and second to approve the minutes as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed by majority. As Alex brought up, which I thank him for doing, is that we have another one that may appear to be minutes, but we didn't have a quorum, so we didn't have a meeting, so we are just filing a document that says that we had a meeting on that date. Well, we didn't have a meeting on that date, that we could not have a meeting on that date because we lacked a quorum. So that's all that filing, and that's a simple filing of a document.
I move to approve the minutes of the June 5th, 2025 meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. They're not minutes. They are just a notice that we attempted to have a meeting and couldn't get there because of the lack of a quorum. But they're labeled as minutes, and we'll make a motion. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed by majority. Okay. Next, we have to talk about who's here. I'd like to recognize the following staff. Jean Ann Dawson, who's our hearing clerk down here and does a very good job at making minutes up for us, and we appreciate that. I will recognize Alex Cameron over there, and Michael Mandeville standing behind the computer over here. And that's everybody else I think you know. As to the ones who will be presenting, which I understand is going to be only Michael tonight, unless we need to bring Alex into it. And Michael, I'd ask that you please state your name and raise your right hand.
Michael Mandeville.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Okay.
Enter the hearing yet, Tom?
Okay, well, we can, we're still in a meeting. Okay.
Practice.
Okay, do I hear a motion to open the public hearing?
I move to recess the regular meeting and enter the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. So we are now into a public hearing.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed by majority. Okay. According to the record, the applicant's name is Donald Adams, and the owner is Donald G. Adams, Jr., trustee. It's an unaddressed vacant lot on Lake Dornich Drive, identified by PID 000139929. Will the applicant and any others that the applicant wishes to or knows of at this point in time want to testify in front of this panel, please approach the stand-up podium right there. And I believe that microphone is already on, sir.
Well, we'll find out. Is this functioning?
Would you please state your name and your relationship to this proceeding?
My name is Donald Adams, and I'm the owner of the property.
Okay. I notice in the record that it also indicates that you're an attorney as well. Is that correct?
I'm a real estate lawyer here in Pinehurst. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. The reason I ask that is that you obviously have an option to either be sworn in if you so choose, or because you are an attorney, that you already carry that.
I'm perfectly comfortable being sworn in.
Okay. Please raise your right hand, state your name.
Donald Adams,
Okay, and your address.
135 Applewoman Circle in Pinehurst.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and so help you God?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, you're sworn in.
The property at issue here, and I'll defer to Michael as to the documents that I provided along the way.
Before you start, sir.
Yes, sir.
We have the report from staff first, and then we will let you start as soon as we're going to do it. But I just bring you up so that you're here and we know that you're
Fair enough.
listening to what's being presented. You can stay there. You can, in fact, you can come up and sit down if you want in one of the two of the microphones.
I sit all day. This is great.
Okay, you're welcome to stand too. I understand that. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Now, everybody happy? Okay. Michael.
Ready?
Start.
All righty. Good evening, everybody. Let me get this up. Good to see everyone. It's taking a little bit. There we go.
There we go.
Here we go. All right. We're here for the Village of Pinehurst Board of Adjustments regular meeting today, July 10th, 2025. Already halfway through the year. As you see, here's our agenda for today, and we're at the public hearing portion of the agenda, and we're here for a variance for an unaddressed lot at Lake Dornoch Drive. So the purpose of this public hearing is to receive testimony for a variance request from the Pinehurst Development Ordinance Table of Dimensional Requirements for the property located at the corner of Lake Dornoch Drive and Ponte Vedra Drive, further identified as Moore County PID number 0001399. The property is located within the R30 zoning district. Specifically, the applicant, Donnell Adams, is requesting a variance to reduce the rear yard lakefront golf course setback from 60 feet to 50 feet of the R30 zoning district. And specifically, this property is not on a golf course, but it is the big lake to the rear at the Country Club of North Carolina. So we have an evidentiary hearing process. Requests for variances are quasi-judicial decisions which require an evidentiary hearing. These decisions are quasi-judicial due to the fact judgment and discretion is used in applying the standards for review. The purpose of evidentiary hearings is to gather competent, relevant, and factual evidence on the application, not to solicit broad public opinion. All who participate must be sworn in to provide factual testimony and relevant evidence only and limited repetitious testimony. Staff acts as the initial witness by presenting basic information and background of the request and enters the exhibits to the record. The applicant and other witnesses will be sworn in and are able to provide factual testimony on the application to the board. Board members listen, ask relevant questions, assess the credibility of all testimony, remain impartial, and vote on the case. At the conclusion of the hearing, the board shall make its decision based on the evidence submitted and testimony given while adopting the findings of facts on all standards. I don't know where that transition came from, sorry. So here's the property in the hatched area right here. And this is Lake Dornoch Drive. This is Ponte Vedra Drive. And here is the lake to the rear. The front of the property would be facing out this way towards Lake Dornoch Drive. And here's an aerial of the property. As you can see, that corner lot with the lake to the rear. And the request is to reduce the rear 60-foot setback in the R30 zoning to 50 feet. As you can see here is where, in our table of dimensional requirements, where it requires 60 feet for the zoning district. So the original lot was created as part of the subdivision titled the Country Club of North Carolina, Royal Dornoch Golf Village, Inc. in August of 1968. The current lot configuration was created by recombination last year in May of 2024. The subject property is approximately 42,398 square feet, or plus or minus 0.97 acres, which complies with a minimum lot size requirement of 30,000 square feet for the R30 zoning district. As you can see here, I was provided with a building envelope of what would currently be allowed if the 60-foot setback was still applied to it. And you can see that building envelope is this triangle right here. And as you see here, this was a site plan provided from the county septic permit that shows the septic area. And here's the septic tanks, here's the line here, and the repair area of what would be put out there. So as you can see, this would be 45 feet to the corner here of the repair area, and from the lake edge to the septic tanks would be 50 feet. Here's a couple pictures provided by the applicant of the site on the corner, and this is Ponte Vedra Drive, and this is Lake Dornoch Drive. So the standards of review. The Board of Adjustments shall not grant a variance unless and until it makes findings that all of the following standards have been met. A necessary hardship will result from the strict application of the ordinance. It shall not be necessary to demonstrate that in the absence of the variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property. The hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as location, size, or topography. Hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood or the general public, may not be the basis for granting a variance. The hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The act of purchasing property with the knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify the granting of a variance shall not be regarded as a self-created hardship. The requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. So the action by the board. You have the authority to subpoena witnesses and may request additional information, continue the public hearing on the requested variance, grant the requested variance, deny the requested variance, grant the requested variance with conditions. In granting any variance, the Board of Adjustments may attach appropriate conditions provided the conditions are reasonably related. Any decision to grant or deny these requests shall be accompanied by a finding of facts stating the reason why the request meets or does not meet each standard of review. The granting will take a 4 out of 5 yay vote. Staff does not offer recommendations on variance requests. The decisions are based solely on the testimony and evidence presented at the quasi-judicial hearing. And one thing I would like to add that was in the packets, that the ARB for CCNC is okay with this request. So that was part of the package sent to the Board of Adjustments. And at this time, staff would like to submit the following into the record: the staff report with attachments and exhibits, the presentation, an application, and the applicant's materials and exhibits. And that would be the end of my presentation, and I will take any questions the board may have for me.
Board have any questions?
You mentioned two dates, one when the lots were originally created, 68, and then the second was a recombination. So do you know, is the recombination what changed?
So this was the original lot here.
Okay.
So the county hasn't updated their GIS, so this is the original lot here. So they added
That's defined by that black line,
the
right?
black line. Yes,
Okay.
correct. But the red line is the current configuration of that lot.
And the sketch that you showed us with the septic and the proposed house is obviously based on that current
It's
size,
Yes,
correct?
that's correct.
Yep.
Yep. That's my only question at this point.
Drawing showing the septic fields and can you explain what is meant by repair area?
This is where the liquid. This is where it flows out to from the septic tank.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I think the repair area is where you have to have an area to, if you have to do something with a leach field, the repair of the leach field, and then the tan area that's in that is the actual leach field, is that correct?
Okay, yeah, correct.
That's right.
The tan area would be the leach field, and the red area would be apparently, and I didn't know this, but apparently a piece of property or an area set aside so that if you needed to do something with a leach field, you had an area to do that repair from. I would suspect that's what it is. If somebody knows more about it than I do, then please speak up.
I'm certainly not an expert on septic, but
Comes
not-
from the county.
I'm not an expert, but that is true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So you're required to have both.
Yes.
I would, if the board would entertain, ask Mr. Adams a question, just based on this sketch. Has this been reviewed or approved by a soil scientist with Moore County Environmental Health? Or has this been prepared at consultation with them, or?
Yes, that is part of the approval that we received for the septic permit. That should have been, I think that's included with the materials.
It is.
The full application is in the.
I just wanted to make sure that for the record that the board is aware of, and it shows that
There
this
was
sketch is part of the
another
approval.
page to it that was in there too, Exhibit A 6.2, which was a checklist with X's in it. That's also in our package
Yeah, if you
as
got-
well, which I believe that goes along with that
Yes, sir.
drawing. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it does.
Exhibit A 6.1 through 6.3 is the septic application from Moore County Environmental Health.
Now, was that something that was provided by you, or was that something they provided to you?
That was provided In the court, well, let me back up a moment and say this. My sister
Okay,
and I
please.
inherited this lot from our parents. This is probably a different request for a variance than you typically get, because I have no intention of building a house there.
Okay,
We just want to sell it. So when we put it on the market, in order to sell it, we got these tests done at the advice of our realtor, and we got that in place. And that's when we found out that we might have some issues, because the septic field in its present location is going to encroach significantly into the building envelope that we have.
okay.
So, so in terms of, well, okay, what is someone going to build and where's he going to build it? Those are questions, quite honestly, that I can't answer. But I do know that at this point, because the septic field encroaches into the widest part of the setback area, it leaves us with not a very desirable remaining building envelope that we can improve with an additional 10 feet.
Okay, so this is a drawing that somebody provided to the county to approve, is that
Yes,
true?
sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
that was my question. I
That's
just
right.
was
And-
looking
and,
to.
And please understand that I'm not here, providing this to you with the assumption that, okay, we're going to put the house there, and we really want, something other than 50 feet. 50 feet is what we're asking for, irrespective of the measurements that you see on there.
Okay,
Understood.
I understand. So there is no house that we have to consider then tonight? This is just the consideration of the variance request, sans any house?
That is exactly right. We are just trying to make the lot more marketable.
Okay, I understand. And you have the floor, so if there's other things that you would like to talk to about the things that were submitted, or that you want us to understand at this point in time, understanding that it has to be evidence-based.
Of course. Well, I'll just mention that again, if you look at the building envelope from left to right, as you have it on the survey, you'll see that as it's farther along, closer to the lake on Lake Dornick Drive, it is very, very narrow right through there. And in fact, you've got to go about 50 feet in before the setback area even becomes 25 feet wide.
Okay, if you could, it would help, I think, everybody in the audience, and it would definitely help me and the rest of the board, I think, reference one of your documents that you put in, and I believe they're all indicated by an A, something or other.
Okay.
So that we understand it helps us to understand what you're looking at.
Of course.
Or what you're talking about.
Right. So I'm looking right now at what this on the overhead screen is a site plan with the building envelope. So again, if you look at that, if you start at the very northernmost tip of the building envelope, and then go back down Lake Dornick Drive toward Ponte Vedra, you've got to go about 50 feet down before that building envelope even gets 25 feet wide. So that's a problem. And again, our other issue is that the septic field is going to go into the very widest part of the lot that you see right down there. So again, it leaves us with very, very little to build on. Certainly not a house that would be consistent with the other houses in the community. And quite honestly, I'm not sure that anyone would be willing to take on trying to build a house within that envelope. The size of the building envelope right now is about 11,000 square feet. It appears to me that the septic field is going to encroach about 2,800 feet onto that. So now that leaves us, with roughly 9,000 square feet. But again, much of that is narrow and impractical in my view. We can make that up by going back toward the lake, because the rear setback line is about 250 feet. So if we get another 10 feet closer to the lake, there's another 2,500 square feet that we pick up. And I've been advised by a builder that will make it much more saleable. In fact, the reason that all this came about was that we had a prospective purchaser who took his building.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You said more stable? Was that what you said?
Saleable.
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 Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yep. So in fact, we had someone take a look at it, and a builder and his client, and the builder came back and said, I'm just not going to be able to do anything with it that you're going to want. And that's what was when it came back to me that we need to revisit this building envelope and hopefully get a variance that would give us a little more room.
Okay, but again, we're not talking about any specific building or building size tonight, other than conceptually. There's no building that we need to be taking into consideration.
That is correct. That
Okay.
is correct. We are just asking for another 10 feet along that, the line that's closest to the lake, so that we can make the lot more marketable.
Okay.
That's really what we're talking about.
And because when you reference the builder and those people that you had, that's basically hearsay at this point in time. So that's why I bring up the point to the story. Is that,
Understood.
so if, quite honest with you, if we're going to take it into consideration, it probably needs to come from those people
Right.
instead of yourself.
Fair enough.
Other questions?
Go ahead.
Is there any documentation regarding there we go. Is there any documentation regarding the topography on the site? Any contour lines or anything? I didn't see that in the packet.
I do not have that included. The lot, all I can tell you is that the lot slopes from the back at the intersection of Ponte Vedra and Lake Dornick down toward the lake. But I don't have specifics in that regard now.
So it basically slopes diagonally back down towards the lake.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
The highest point being up where the intersection of the two roads that we're
Yes, sir.
referring to,
Yes, sir.
and the lowest point being somewhere back here.
Yes, sir.
In the sketch, it looks like it, I'm not sure if I'm reading this number correctly, the distance between the repair area and the property line, is that 45 feet?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Yes.
So is there a restriction on septic fields or repair areas extending into setbacks?
No.
Okay. And then I'm just nuance here, but this figure shows that the lake edge, the 50 feet is shown from the lake edge to what looks like maybe the pump tank for the septic, but obviously the lake edge is not the building, it's not the property boundary, but
That's correct.
we're, graphically, it's still, I guess is,
I believe the requirement is 50 feet at that point. With that checklist that's in here, they came, I believe, and you can correct me because it's part of the same, let me find it here real quick.
Yeah, under permit conditions on 6.1,
There's a checklist with that map.
A
that goes with
6.1.
A6, okay.
Says distance to water supplies, permit conditions number 1, lakes and streams, 50 foot or
It
greater.
says wells, springs, et cetera, and lakes and streams, et cetera, need to be greater than 50 foot from the septic system. That's what it looks,
that was
appears to
shown
be.
for
I
the
mean, I'm not the expert and I didn't write this, but that's what it's saying. And that's on A 6.1.
so in this graphic at least, the footprint of the house is actually probably within 50 feet of the property line. So really, this is a septic figure. It's shown for the purpose of that. This doesn't actually show that the house could be built inside of
Yeah.
the 50-foot setback.
Most likely, but also that's just a hypothetical house
Right.
and septic tank and field, and so
I mean, those are all things that'll have to be addressed.
Yeah.
When you plot up whatever house somebody's gonna build in there, is to make sure that all of those numbers match what they need to match.
I just consider this footprint, this L-shaped footprint, as notional.
Is a hypothetical, could be that, could be something else.
That's correct. And in fact, to my knowledge, the person who did this work did not have on hand the survey. So he probably had no knowledge of where the line, where the setbacks actually were. So he was just purely working from a conceptual.
We have nothing to measure because we don't have a house to measure from.
Right.
Or a drawing on, that includes that house to measure on it. This is still, when we get all done, is gonna be an empty lot.
That's exactly right.
And somebody's gonna have to come in and meet those requirements when they get there. That's my understanding. Is that correct?
That is my understanding as well. Believe me, we want to sell this lot.
Okay.
If I may ask, this drawing was produced by people working on the septic. Has it been reviewed by a developer or your contractor, whoever you've been working with? Have they felt like this building footprint is practical in their professional opinion, to your knowledge?
The only conversation I've had in that regard was the one that I mentioned earlier with the prospective purchaser. So I have not approached anyone regarding that, no. Again, we have no interest in building on the lot.
Okay.
It's not our plans to develop it in any way.
Okay, I understand. The house doesn't exist
Right.
on this drawing. You
Right.
could take that out of there and it would be still the same drawing.
Right, right. My only purpose, really, quite honestly, in providing this was to identify the septic field. I mean, I would just assume the house not even appear on there.
Right. That's a hypothetical.
What is the minimum square footage of a house? Is it 3,000 square feet at CCNC?
I do not know the answer to that, no, sir.
Other questions?
There is a minimum square footage for the R30. I believe it's 2,000 for the structure.
Just a lot size, 30,000 square feet.
Okay. Just lot size and setbacks.
Minimum principal building size.
30,000 square feet. Front yard setback 40 feet.
Setbacks and lot
Setbacks and
size is all we're looking at because we're not looking at a house.
Yep.
That will have to be readdressed.
True,
at some
but
other venue.
the request is based on to make the lot buildable. So if
Well, yeah,
it's not buildable,
Okay.
then
I understand. Okay. True point.
I don't have any other questions for the applicant.
Anybody else?
None here.
Sir, do you have any other input that you want us to take into consideration before we go into deliberation here?
I don't have any other input other than emphasizing that, these are in my materials, that I believe that I've met the required standards. I'm glad to read those into the record if you'd like for me to, but again, they're part of my materials.
Okay, that's up to you. That's not a decision we make.
Well, I will say that in terms of the requirements, regarding any unnecessary hardship resulting from the strict application of the ordinance, again, the hardship is that the building envelope as it exists would only accommodate a home that's going to be very dissimilar to what's at CCNC in the surrounding area, and therefore unappealable, in my view, to prospective purchasers of the lot. In terms of how the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, again, this is an irregularly shaped lot. Unlike a lot of other lots at CCNC, it's very triangular, a lot of lake frontage. So again, this is specific to this property and not more community-wide or even a neighborhood-wide similarity. We didn't create anything to exacerbate the situation. In fact, the recombination that I did last year improved it because it brought more of the lot and made it much more, made it much larger and more marketable than it is today. And then how the requested variance is consistent with the intent of the ordinance. I think if you look at the purpose in section 5.1.1, the ordinance is intended to provide relief where the zoning ordinances or zoning requirements render the land difficult or impossible to use because of some unique physical attribute of the property itself. I think this property is pretty unique in that regard. It's not impossible to use, but it is difficult to use. And again, that's addressed there. So I have nothing further to add.
Okay, nothing further?
No, sir.
Okay, I just want to go back to the staff's report, and the staff's report will be taken into the meeting, into the hearing.
Right.
I didn't say that at the time, so I want to get that on the record. Okay, Anybody other questions? Okay.
Public comment?
No. Anybody from the audience wish to make comment? Do we have anybody on the sign-up sheet? Okay, nobody's on the sign-up sheet. That doesn't stop people from doing it. If you want to do it, please feel free to raise your hand and I'll come up. Nobody raising their hand? Nobody else appears then to be wanting to make comments to it. Okay, I'm going to leave the public hearing open, but we're going to move into talking about it up here. And the reason I leave the hearing open is simply because if we have questions when we come up to, through working with the deliberation, we would then be able to ask questions to the relevant individual that we'd have the question, the appointed to. If we close the hearing, we can't do that. So we're going to leave the hearing open until such time as we're ready to make to the point of there. Okay. Deliberation.
Could staff pull up that site plan again? The concept one. Thank you. So at least what I'm seeing with this is they have a 65-foot long driveway in this concept. And I know this isn't to scale or any means, but I know a driveway could easily be half that long. And the 55 feet as well, yes, they have the leach field, so maybe that's impeding the building from coming there. But I just don't see why in this circumstance the building couldn't be closer to that front setback, which is only 40 feet. So that's another 25 feet that could move forward. And even if they kept that just to a rectangle of 75 by 45, that's almost 3,400 square feet of a home. So I don't know if just looking at those dimensions, if they need the extra 10 feet.
Okay, but remember, that house don't exist and won't exist when we're done with this meeting.
Right,
either.
and so I'm just talking about the feasibility of a house, going back to Matt's comment, if a house could be buildable here, if there is a significant burden with that 10 feet. I don't know if, based off of what I'm seeing here, if there is a significant burden by having to move it up another 10 feet to 60 away from that building.
How many square feet are we gaining if we give them that extra 10 feet? Do we know?
About 2,500 square feet.
About 2,500 square feet?
Sure.
Okay. And how many square feet do we have without that?
Well, the
Buildable.
Sorry.
Buildable square feet.
The building envelope as it exists right now is about 11,500 square feet. However, again, the septic field is going to use up about 2,500 square feet of that.
Okay. So how many does that leave
So
us?
roughly, roughly 9,000 square feet building envelope, again, which we could bring back the other portion that we're losing with the septic field if we can take it out toward the lake.
Okay, so basically you're offsetting the septic field.
Right. But again, I would emphasize.
And square feet.
Again, I would emphasize that although 9,000 square feet sounds reasonable enough, keep in mind that the septic field is going to encumber the widest part of the lot, leaving the left-hand side of the lot, which is the much more narrow portion, as our building envelope. And that's why it's going to be difficult for anyone to be able to get a house in there. Again, you've got to go back roughly 50 feet from the northernmost point of the building envelope before it even gets to 25 feet wide.
Yeah, it does seem like that, I mean, if this house could connect to public sewer, it'd be a different story.
Yeah.
But you got to use a part of that to.
Yeah, I don't think there is no public sewer down there. Is that correct?
Not usable, no, sir.
No.
Okay.
No,
So
there's not.
That's,
So,
that's
I mean,
not, that's not a,
We investigated that and we were told no.
okay. So that takes out several square feet when you have to push that envelope back from that point, at that point. I don't know exactly how much, but that would be, can't build a building 2 foot wide kind of stuff. Any other discussion?
Mine was, when I looked, speaking of the, the setback for the driveway, when I looked at this set of drawings,
Can
when
you
I say
reference?
this set, the site plan with building envelope, I can't remember the exact, whether it was A6, whatever, but
We'll get it up on the screen so we all know what,
it's that one,
oh, it's that one.
It's A3.
A3.
Which is up here, the left or the right as you're facing it.
When I looked at the right-hand side,
Okay.
you can just barely see at the apex of the left-hand side of the building envelope, or the northern side of the, that apex right there, there is a dimension between that and the street. Admittedly, there's easements to off the street and all that kind of stuff, but that dimension, if I read it correctly, and again, my eyesight's not perfect, it's under 50 feet.
40?
That's your 40-foot front setback.
Right, which doesn't compute with that sketch that was done that shows a 60-foot driveway. And I agree with you, a 60-foot driveway. I don't know. So I really think that the actual length of the available for driveway is less than that. It's like 40 feet. So that's why I kind of discounted that, that depiction of the driveway. Because I agree with you, if it had 60 feet for a driveway, they could back it up. I don't think they can.
When you have to lose some because of that very narrow point up there, you aren't going to be able to come back as much as probably we think. I mean, how wide, you make a home down to what, 10 feet wide, a building? That doesn't make sense either, so.
Right. So anyway, I just wanted to make that, that's how I interpreted the drawing as it was presented in the package. Let you know.
And dimensionally, there's definitely a lack of information, whether it's 10 feet or
Yeah.
40 feet, we don't know, and that's one of the hard things with this. But yeah, I don't want to throw out dimensions that I don't understand, but just off of what we saw,
It was complicated because we put that building in there is the real answer to the story.
I agree.
Bruce has
And
some-
that's a hypothetical building. Yes, go ahead.
We're in the order of comments, and may hint to my opinion on this matter. I'm not persuaded that there's hardship here, and I'm not sure that it should be the role of this body to utilize variance to make lots more marketable, or we might be doing that all over this community. The testimony indicated that there was conversation with a realtor and a potential buyer, so I'm not sure that that's a strong argument that a conversation as opposed to the lot actually being marketed and listed.
Well, I think there's another variant to that point of it, though. If it isn't congruent, if you will, or consistent with the rest of the housing down there, then that adds to that, potentially, I think, adds to that.
That's
Well,
speculation.
I can tell you right now, we had the lot listed for months. And that was we had one inquiry, we had a few people look at it. We only had the one inquiry who followed through with it, and he was the one who elected not to proceed after having consulted with his builder.
Well, the other thing I noticed is that you have a sewer setback a sewer interceptor on this property on the north side. So in my mind, there's several issues that make this, that put hardship on this property. You got the lake, you got the triangle, you have this property that was created 50, 60 years ago.
Some
I
of
don't know,
these
I think-
setbacks may not have been around.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty tight envelope as is, and the fact that you need to have septic out there, I think makes it even tighter as far as the house goes. We're not looking at that triangle for the house. It's smaller than that, even though the septic figure, could be changed. I don't know. It seems like, to me, it's a unique lot. There's not a lot like that. Those constraints. Is it impossible as is? No, but that's not the requirement of the variance. So I tend to see the hardship there. But
I also tend to see that hardship, just as an informal. Any other input?
I would just add, just emphasize one more time that the ordinance refers to not just impossible, but difficulty.
Yeah.
And that's what we're facing.
Okay. Thank you. Any other? Okay. Somebody write a motion. Do you have one, Matt?
I do.
Okay. Anybody else have a motion they want to forward?
I do, but I'll defer to Matt and
Okay.
hear
Okay.
what he has to say.
So we will listen to Matt.
I move the Board of Adjustment approve the variance request for the property, which is located on the corner of Lake Dornoch and Ponte Verde Drive, further identified as Moore County PID 000133929. Unnecessary hardship would result from strict application of the ordinance due to the size of the property requiring a septic tank and the small footprint that is buildable. The hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as the unique shape of the lot, the proximity to the lake with higher setback, and existing sewer easement on the property. The hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The shape of the lot resulted from the initial development of the neighborhood parcel in the 60s. And the variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance, such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved because it would allow a property owner to utilize the lot in a manner comparable to other lots in the neighborhood.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, we'll move to voting. I want to do an individual vote, so starting with my left,
No.
Yes.
Yes.
2 yeses, 2 nos, that leaves it up to me. And I vote yes. Motion passed. No, need
no,
4.
I have 4.
Doesn't pass, I take that back.
All right, thank you very much for
Thank you.
That's the answer. Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
sir, and appreciate your time. Any other business for them? Oh, I need motion to close the public hearing, please.
I move that we close the public hearing and return to the Board of Adjustment regular meeting.
Okay. Second?
Second?
Okay, seconded. Motion made and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Any other new business that we have? Staff?
I just want to say thanks, Tom.
Oh,
Thanks
you're
for
welcome.
all your service to the village. I think all of us appreciate it. I know I've only been here for 2 years, but Alex has been here through most of that, and Maria, we've all worked with you, and we appreciate getting to know you, and good luck with everything.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
And Tom, I'll second that. In particular, thank for stepping into the leadership role at the BOA right off the bat. You help bridge a gap. So the rest of the group on the board will be looking for someone to fill Tom's shoes, and don't be a stranger, please.
Okay, thank you. Any other new business? The next meeting is the August 7th, 2025, if the board business is to be conducted. Any other comments? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn the regular meeting at 5:19 PM.
Second?
Second?
Okay, motion's been made to adjourn and seconded. Any discussion? Adjourned.